So you lost a good partner, a good relationship, or a good man. Maybe you didn't value him enough, or maybe you took him for granted, or maybe you were immature in your actions, or maybe you weren't as consistent or loving or as faithful as you would like, or you have made mistakes in the past. And if you have made mistakes, how do you then navigate about in your love life? On the surface level, regret may seem like it's just a feeling, right? It's just this feeling that haunts you. But the truth is that when we are regretting about a mistake that we did on the past, and what ends up happening is that we end up feeling like you aren't worthy of love, you aren't worthy of the treatment that you desire, because you have made quote unquote like so and so mistakes in the past, and therefore you aren't worthy of love. So what happens is that if you are, whether you are currently looking for to get into a relationship or whether you are currently in one, this regret can actually keep on haunting you for the rest of your life if you don't heal them. So let's say, for instance, you are single and you're looking to connect with potential partners. So whenever there is this regret of like, I didn't do enough, or I wasn't good enough in that relationship, right? I didn't do enough, wasn't good enough, then therefore what ends up happening is that we actually unconsciously end up blocking ourselves from receiving love. And so you may end up dating people that you need to fix that are actually not a match. Like that feel like you need to fix, or you need to, resolve conflicts with them. And you do that so unconsciously. You do that without your awareness. Or you may end up holding back from dating altogether because a part of you doesn't feel like you aren't worthy of love. A part of you feels like, no, love isn't for you because you had this one opportunity, you had this one relationship, but then you lost your chance because you ruined it. You did this thing in the past, right? Or if you are currently in a relationship, when there is this regret about the past of like you making these quote unquote mistakes or having bad behavior in a relationship, what ends up happening is that if someone is not treating you right, you end up tolerating their behavior. You end up settling for less because you feel like you shouldn't ask for more because of the mistake that you did in the past, because you weren't good enough of a partner in the past. So who am I to ask for the love that I actually want, right? So it can actually be unfulfilling and not be peaceful at all when it comes to your love life and relationships. Whenever there is this pain about the past, this regret looming in your mind. And so when we want to let go of this regret, what we want to first realize is that regret happens because the mind wants you to improve, but it thinks that in order for you to improve yourself, you need to feel guilty about it. So it's using guilt as a weapon to make the changes. But the truth is that using guilt as a weapon to make changes only works in things like, let's say, at preschool, right? Whenever you were in your childhood, or maybe in your early environment, like when someone is mistreating you, it was when you feel guilty about the mistakes that you did, then you feel like you try to correct them, right? But however, in terms of your love life, in terms of the matters of your heart, in terms of your relationship, it actually ends up doing the opposite. Because what happens is that whenever we are regretting about a past, we end up, all of our mental attention, all of our mind becomes focused onto the past. So you can think of literally as like a box. Like your mind is boxing you onto the past and saying that like you are that person, you are that bad person, you are that bad behavior that you did in the past. I hope you can see that with the sunlight reflection going on. So what this is to say is that the truth is that regret actually doesn't serve you. The mind thinks that the regret is going to help you, the regret is going to make you improve yourself, right? But the deeper story of what's actually happening is that whenever there is a regret, it means that a part of you doesn't feel like you're worthy of love or you're able to give love because you aren't loving, right? So this box is saying that you are an unloving person. And what ends up happening as a result of you believing that you are an unloving person, therefore you're actually more likely to make mistakes in the future. Therefore, you are actually more likely to make these bad behaviors or unloving thoughts, unloving behaviors, right? Because you are saying that you are this unloving person, you are this bad person, you are this unloving person. And therefore, what happens out of it is you can see that if you think that you are this bad or you are this unloving person, you are undeserving of love. What ends up happening is that we end up creating actions, thoughts, and behaviors that are also a match to it. So in the future relationships, if for example, if you regret acting immature in your past relationship, then because you believe that you are unloving, immature, if you think that you are that person, then we end up actually creating more actions, more thoughts, more behaviors. Everything that comes out emanate from what you believe you are. So whenever you're regretting about what you did in the past, what we're saying is that we are this small self, this limited person that committed this bad behavior, and therefore we're going to continue doing more of that, right? So the reason why we want to do this, we want to actually like illuminate what's actually happening, is because the reason why you regret, the reason why you hold on to the regret is only because you believe, a part of you believe that it's serving you. A part of you believe that if you regret about this past relationship, it's actually going to propel you for your future one, when actually it's actually going to sabotage you in your future relationships too. Whether it primarily because you are so focused onto the past, and right, and so it, as with all things in when it comes to life, what you focus on grows. So when you're focusing on this past relationship, when you're focusing on what you could have done better or what you didn't do enough, then that is actually what you're feeding more of. It's like feeding more fodder, giving more fodder to the soil. And therefore it ends up creating more of it, creating more scenarios where you feel like you aren't doing enough in a relationship, or you aren't good enough, or creating scenarios where creating a relationship where in the future you find yourself regretting again, right? Getting into let's say the situation where you regret because after breaking up with that person, that they find the love of their life while you are still in the search mode, right? Then you feel a regret about it. So, and then you continually keep on seeing these patterns, these behaviors, because the mind is focused on it. The mind is focused on the past. The mind is trying to fix this past. So how do you then let go of this past, right? How do you let go of this regret? So what we want to do is, instead of trying to ruminate everything on the past, what we want to do is we want to transmute that past. We want to transmute that pain, transmute that mistake. So in order to transmute that, what that means is seeing it from a different perspective, seeing it from a higher reality, right? So instead of thinking of it as like you lost this one chance, one opportunity, instead we want to see the truth of it all. So the truth in the grand scheme of things in the universe is that this person just came here to teach you love, right? They are just a vessel of love, and so are you, right? You are one with them, and so are you. And in fact, this relationship, instead of thinking as like, oh, this past was the mistake, right? When you think that that was your mistake, actually, it is like a dead end. There is no solution. It's almost like you are doomed for eternity, because you just made this mistake, and therefore you aren't deserving of any love in the future, because you did that one mistake where you are this sin, like you are committing this crime or this behavior, so you don't deserve that, right? So in order to actually release from that grip of the pain, the release, the grip of the guilt is to see yourself as love, right? You are the awareness of love, experiencing love in others. So maybe you may have seen that this past partner was just amazing and you mistreated him or you didn't value him enough, right? So you can see that instead of seeing it as like, oh, I lost my chance, right? I lost the chance, seeing it from the small little personal self gripping on it. The question is, can you see that as a moment of you actually receiving love, right? You receiving love. Maybe you weren't open to it enough, but there was a teacher along the way, right? There was a teacher. And of course, where did the teacher come from? It came from the universe. So the most important love to connect to right here is to connect to the love of the universe. And which leads on to my other point, which is to see the abundance of the universe, abundance of reality. Whenever we're regretting about the past, whenever we're regretting on a past relationship, the past mistake that we do, that's mostly it comes from the belief in scarcity. The scarcity belief is created because we think that there is just this one person, one opportunity. If you make this mistake, then you are doomed for the rest of your life, right? When the truth is that the universe love is not encapsulated in one. In fact, the universe is a creation genius. It has creation of all sorts, right? It is abundant. So if you actually see that love is abundant, God is abundant, reality is abundant, then you see that just because you made mistake at one point doesn't mean that you are doomed for failure, because there are so many infinite opportunities for you to grow, for us to grow, right, as souls. So we want to see the eternal truth of who you are instead of seeing it as this limited little love, like you just have this one chance, one opportunity. And guess where this belief is coming from? It comes from our childhood, where we believe that, oh, you have to make it in the sports, or you have to make it at, you only have this one chance to prove to your parents, to prove to your teacher, to prove to society, right? You think that you only have this one chance, when the truth is, as the soul that you are, you chose to sign up for this. You signed up for this opportunity to experience limitless opportunity, infinite opportunities to see, to be reflected back the love that you are. And this comes down to like having guilt or regret of anything else, and especially in your love life. Whenever you think that love is limited to that one little single person and you are idolizing that person as like the only one who can give you love, that is when the regret becomes painful. But when you realize that God, love, the universe is this loving creation, the loving creator, right? Then you start to see that you actually are available for it. You are worthy of the love that is here to come. Whether it's right now or in the future, you're able to receive it. Instead of making you feel guilty, instead of shaming yourself and saying that you don't deserve love because you have done this mistake, because of this regret, because of this guilt. So my love, what it all comes down to is that whenever you find yourself regretting about a mistake that you made in your love life, the key here is to realize that hanging on to the past actually doesn't exist, right? All of that is like creation is just continually happening. The question is about whether you choose love from now. And the most important choice is happening in no other place other than right now. You can't go back to your past to fix that thing, but it's about choosing what you do, choosing to experience love right now. So that means allowing yourself to receive love, being deserving of love right here, right now, in the current relationship that you have, or in the dating scene, whenever you're meeting people. That means allowing yourself, giving yourself love, being able to let yourself receive love from others, instead of saying that I am not worthy of it because of this mistake, or thinking that you have lost your chance, lost your opportunities because of what you did in the past. Because the truth is, my love, you have infinite opportunities, for you are the infinite soul that you are. So with that being said, I hope this serves you. And if you want deeper support with that, in order to experience this healthy, peaceful love life and relationships, then you can apply for a free complimentary consultation session. The link is in the description box. With that being said, I hope that this serves you, and I'll see you next video. Much love.